Ugh. I've had a rough year. You know what's happened to my Dallas Cowboys. You might or might not know what's happened to my Oklahoma Sooners. You probably don't know what's happened to my Vanderbilt Commodores, who did have their moments in the fall sun. They did knock off Alabama when it was number one. They have won 6 games, but they came within a bad uncall of not beating Texas, and then South Carolina just outclassed us. Not ready at LSU now as we speak. But I had hung my hat, hitched my star to my man Dion's team because I really believe in Deion Sanders, as you know. I really, really, really believe in Shadur Sanders, as you know. I really, 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 really believe in Travis Hunter, as you know. I thought I believed in Deion's team. I actually fooled myself into believing in Deion's defense over the last, 5 or 6 games. It was a done deal. Even though they were only 2.5-point favorites over Kansas. Kansas has always haunted my Oklahoma Sooners. Every time we go to Lawrence, something bad happens. But this wasn't at Lawrence. It was neutral site-y. I know it was in Kansas/Missouri. It was at Arrowhead. And I thought, okay, lights are brighter. NFL Stadium, Shadur and Travis just rise and shine under the lights. Weather was okay. It was a high of 60 today in Kansas City. There was some wind, but not that kind of wind. I just thought this was it. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Deion's team thought it was done. A done deal. They were heading for the Big 12 title game. Here we go. Save my season. Save my pride. Give me something to look forward to live for. The Colorado Buffaloes. I actually trusted the defense to at least play pretty well today. And yet, I got it. Kansas came alive. Kansas had lost 6 games narrowly. They barely lost at Kansas State. And then they came alive 2 weeks ago. And they giant killed number 17 Iowa State. And then they really came to life this 7 days ago, last Saturday. And they giant killed BYU. It was a low-scoring, close game, but they did it. And yet, Devin Neal, over the last 5 games, has been pretty good. He's always been good. He's their all-time leading rusher, but he's a 4-year senior. This was his senior day game and a home away from home, not in Lawrence, but at Arrowhead in Kansas City. And yet, in those last 5 games, he's only gone over 100 twice. So, silly me, I thought Shadur could just go up and down the field against Kansas defense. And I know they have 2 really good corners, one of them named Kobe. And he played like Kobe today. But trust me, Shadur can do numbers on people. I saw Shadur hang 49 when you least expected it on Utah. And coming into the game, I hung my hat on a Colorado defense that was ranked 2nd in the Big 12 against the run. And then my guts got torn out again. That was excruciating to me. It was just so hard because they never, ever had a chance in this game. They trailed from the start because they had no chance against Devin Neal. Before I go any farther, I kneel, I'll go all the way down here for Devin Neal. I kneel in honor of Devin Neal because that was the game of his life. What are these numbers? He rushed for 207 yards. Again, last 5 games, he had twice over 100. He went for 207 against Colorado's 2nd in the Big 12 rush defense. He caught 4 more balls for 80 yards. So we had 287 yards. And Kansas rushed for 331 yards, and Colorado never rushes for anything. They had 42. So In running the football today at Arrowhead, it was quote unquote home team 331 to 42 for Colorado. 331 to 42 because Devin Neal had a senior day for the ages. I wish Dallas had drafted him. Maybe they'll get him in the 3rd round, right? Not Jerry. My point is, I just didn't see this coming. I'm blindsided. I'm off balance. I'm shell-shocked. I'm gobsmacked because Colorado has been so much better than this. I thought they would just give Shadur a chance to make plays to Travis, and they pretty much did. They just didn't have the football very much. You realize time of possession was 40 minutes for Kansas, 40 minutes to 20 for Shadur. What can Shadur do in 20 minutes of football? Well, he can go 23 of 29 for 266. Imagine if he'd had 10 more minutes, what would have happened? Imagine if Travis, he got 8 for 125. Imagine what would have happened if Travis Hunter had caught 12 for 175. If they just had the ball for 10 more minutes, they're going to score more points. The final score was 37 to 21 because they never, ever stopped Kansas until the last. I guess Kansas didn't score on its last drive as they just ran the clock out. Might as well have. But the first 7 possessions, they scored points. And I guess the only good thing that Colorado's defense did, it hung on in the red zone 3 times to hold them to field goals, or this would have been a complete and utter devastation, nightmarish rout. And it was clear to me from moment one, Kansas just took the ball and just went bam, 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 and obviously a little screen pass to Devin Neal, and he just houses it. And nobody wanted to tackle. It was clear to me that Dion's team decided last week it was it. Deal was done. Started to smell itself. Started to congratulate itself because everybody on social media, and that team lives on social media, everybody was congratulating Dion's team last week. You guys did it. You came from nowhere to everywhere. You broke through. You showed them all. You shut them up. And then you got shut up. Live on Fox. It's a national TV. It's a big deal. Suddenly hot Kansas, you're at the wrong place at the wrong time, but you got to rise above that because you're better than Kansas. You still had the 2 best players on the field, and you had a very special man as your head coach. I'm sure he tried. I know mid-first quarter he called the defense together, which he doesn't do very often. And he just shamed them and said, are you going to wake up and have any pride or no pride? What do you want to do? And they had no pride. They didn't tackle anybody. From moment one, they just didn't have any energy, any urgency, any commitment the way they have when their backs were to the wall. All of a sudden, they were the wall. All of a sudden, they're in the Big 12 title game. Not. They had Oklahoma State coming to Boulder. Oklahoma State's no good, had a rocky year. I thought they were going to be pretty good, but I thought Kansas was going to be very good this year. And when I looked down the schedule, I circled that as an L. I was thinking it was at Lawrence, but this was just an all-out disaster. Just knocks the bottom out of the whole movement. Dion had proven everyone wrong. Shut up haters, shut up doubters. Everybody wrong. I'm going to take your questions and your comments. I've got a whole lot to say about Dion's program. It was such a great week because Julian Lewis, otherwise known as Juju, one of the top quarterback recruits in the country and has been since he was in 8th grade, dumped stinking Lincoln Riley in USC and signed with Dion. And it was the first real indication, and it was kind of bittersweet for me, that Dion is exactly what he's saying, that he's staying. He said it from the start when we were there last year on Undisputed. He's told everybody, hey, no, I'm here. Kickstand down. He's been saying that all along. Kickstand down. And when you sign Juju Lewis to replace Shadur as a freshman next year, you're showing the world I'm here, because there's no way you could convince Juju's parents to give up on everybody else and commit to Boulder, Colorado if Dion ain't going to be in Boulder, Colorado. So he ain't going to be in Dallas, Texas next year, I guess. Ain't going to be in New York with the Giants, I guess. It sure looks like he's committed to Julian Lewis in Boulder, Colorado. It sure looks like it. So my producer, Tyler Korn, is near me. He's going to shout out a few questions here. Tyler, do we have anything
comments
of
so
any
far.
note? We have some comments I can react to. Fire away.
Nicholas Tylenol.
Okay.
Time can't coach.
Woo.
JC Sports.
Okay. Time can't coach. Okay.
JC Sports.
Yeah.
You believe in losers.
Okay.
Literally, Marcel.
Okay.
That missed PI on Colorado changed the entire game.
It did. I agree with that. That was Marcel.
Marcel, yes.
Marcel.
And then we'll keep on going. We'll start with those three.
Okay, let's do these three questions real quick. What's Tylenol's first name? I'll just call him
Nicholas.
Nicholas Tylenol. I need some Tylenol, Nicholas. You got any handy? I need some black market Tylenol right now. I need some industrial strength Tylenol to just take me out of here. I'm sorry, Tylenol. Time can coach. Time's a special man. I've known him for a long time. I knew him when he played for the Dallas Cowboys. I was covering the Dallas Cowboys. He's just special. There's just something about him. Everything he touches turns to gold. And this was turning to Colorado gold. Gold rush kind of gold. And I know there are a lot of haters, doubters, such as you, Tylenol. Don't like his methods. They turn their locker room into a club before the game. They play some tunes. They do. They have a DJ. I don't know if they take it on the road or not. They probably do. But that's how they roll. And Dion is Dion. And he is brilliant to the point of being a football genius to me. Obviously, the best cornerback by far who ever played. Sorry, Darrell. But just a special man, special media presence. I first got to know him well. I wrote my third book about the Dallas Cowboys called Hellbent. It was controversial, but it was dead on accurate. Dion read it, told me he loved it, had me on his local show in Dallas. Pam Oliver and he were the hosts of said show. It was live at the Hard Rock Cafe on some sort of Dallas cable. I forget what it was, but they had me on to talk about my book. And Dion told me before we opened to the live crowd, and I got booed like crazy by the Cowboy fans. They just won the Super Bowl is all. That was the last one. It's almost 30 years ago. And Dion told me, look, I know what happened. I know what you wrote. Dead on accurate. But I'm going to have to ask you some hard questions, which he did. And I loved him for that because he declared himself to me first, and then here he went. When Dion puts his mind to something, he can do that something. He'll pull this off. He was already pulling it off till today. But the haters don't like him because he's prime time. He's neon Dion. He wears too much jewelry. He doesn't discipline his players enough. Baloney. He can coach, he can motivate. I thought he'd light a halftime fire. They just couldn't stop Devin Neal. They turned Devin Neal into a combination of Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, and this is way before your time, Gale Sayers, greatest Kansas running back ever, went to the Chicago Bears. If you know Brian's song, the sad movie, Brian Piccolo. But the point is, he was all those guys rolled into one. For a while, I thought he was Barry Sanders in the open field. And then by mid-third, fourth quarter, he started plowing through the middle with that Emmitt sort of dart dash quickness. Emmitt was the quickest guy in a confined space I've ever seen. You could not get your hands on him, even though he was like 5'9", 205. I think Devin Neal's like 5'11", more like 215. He's put together, but just so shifty in a confined space. In the holes, no one could get a hold of him because they weren't committed to getting a hold of him. And then we've got JC Sports just calling Colorado losers. This has been, I know they've all come out. Remember LeBron, I said this is the first time I've ever agreed with LeBron. He was asking last week in a tweet, where are all the haters now? Well, I know where they are. They're watching me right now, and they're screaming at me right now, and they're sending my man Tyler Korn questions and comments right now because they're out, knives out. Let's get even with Dion now. We have been buried all for the last, 2 months. We have come back to the surface. We can scream our hate on the surface. They're not losers, they're winners. They won 4 games last year. They won, 1 game the year before. I mean, the turnaround was spectacular, but they needed to close the deal. And obviously, clearly, the deal closed them today. And then we get to the pass eye. What was his name, Tyler?
Literally Marcel.
Marcel. Okay, Marcel. Great point. First one I liked. Marcel, I'm with you. It's 7-0 Kansas because Devin Neal got loose. It's just, it didn't even look like a screen pass to me. It was just like a swing pass. And he hit the seam, and there was a big missed tackle by the best tackler, I won't even call his name, on Colorado's defense, and he was off to the races. He can move, he can run. He probably made himself some money today. I'm sure I saw John Lynch on the sideline. I'm sure a lot of scouts were watching, mostly to watch Colorado. But then, I guess it was 3rd down. I don't have it right in front of me, but on Travis Hunter's break, Shadur throws, I'll bet it would have been on the money for a touchdown. And the DB just grabbed Travis Hunter, just grabbed him and held him and obviously impeded him and ruined his break for the football. And you gotta throw the flag. Again, college, it's only 15 yards, but at least it's 15 yards. It's new momentum. I mean, if there's no grab, it did save. It looked like to me it saved a touchdown. I don't know, the way Travis breaks, he accelerates so quickly, as you saw in his little screen pass. But that was a huge play in the game, momentum-wise, because if you hit that and it's an early 7-7 touchdown, it does feel a lot different to me. And maybe I'm just seeing black and gold, but I got my Vanderbilt hat on, but I'm wearing it because I do love the colors black and gold. Not so much right now, but agreed. Tyler, hit me with a few more.
Daniel San, I promise you, Shadur won't be good in the NFL.
Okay.
Endgame spoiler, Colorado is so overrated. Refs favor them way too much. If they would play Alabama, Ohio State right now, Coach Prime and crew would lose by at least 21 to any of those teams.
Okay.
And then last one for now.
Yep.
Cornelius Burns. Colorado will end the season 10-3.
Like positively, right? Okay. All right. Shadur, again, had the ball for 20 total minutes today. 23 of 29 for 266, 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. I thought he scrambled as well as I've ever seen him scramble today. He stands strong in the pocket. He has sneaky quickness to him because there were several times I just thought he was sacked and they couldn't get him on the ground. He's a big man. He's 6'2", but he plays bigger than 6'2". He plays 6'4". I don't know what he weighs, 215, 220, somewhere in that range, but he plays 240 to me. And he's sneaky athletic. He's not his father. He obviously doesn't have his father's wheels, but he has great pocket feet and great anticipation of where the daylight is to get through it. And a couple times today, he made escape throws that took my breath away. And Kansas got away with what, it's not a penalty because he was out of the pocket, but it's just a dangerous cheap shot, as I tweeted about. It's the Tom Brady rule play, the Tom Brady torn ACL play, when Tom missed that whole season because he was standing in the pocket and he planted to throw and he got hit in the knees with feet planted. And Shadur got hit in the knees with feet planted, and yet he was scrambling forward, so they're not going to throw a flag on it. But he impresses me because he took the shot. Some guys are just born durable and some aren't. Shadur was born tough and durable. In my time of watching college football, and I've been doing this a long time, I don't know that I've ever seen a quarterback take more punishment and absorb more punishment than I've seen Shadur absorb now in his time at Colorado. Because last year was just a disaster. It was just a sieve of an offensive line. It was just like 5 turnstiles of offensive linemen. And he was running for his life and often hit for his life last year. Early this year, it didn't look much better. They've gotten a little better. Today, he was having a hard time because Kansas did such a great job of locking up his primary receivers. Those corners are really good for Kansas. I give you that. But Shadur did hold on to the ball too long today. The ball needed to come out quicker. I'm not a big Shermer guy. I don't know. Dion seems to like him, but I thought they could have mixed it up a little bit more, and there were a couple of 3rd and 4th down plays I just didn't like because they were just abominations, just aborted plays. I don't know what was happening, but I don't see anything mystical, magical from Shermer. That also leads to the D coordinator, who I don't know very much about, Robert Livingston. He was with the Bengals from 2016 all the way until last year, but he's coaching the secondary. I saw Dion when I was on Lil Wayne's show at the Super Bowl. He told me in a break of the show that we were on that Robert Livingston is a stud and that he's going to turn their defense around. And for the most part, he did until today. And they kept showing him on the sidelines just kind of holding his head in his hands like he couldn't believe what he was watching, because I couldn't either. I'm sure he went into this game reasonably confident. He knows all about Devin Neal. He knows about Jalen Daniels. Jalen Daniels can really move and squirm and spin, and he's very difficult gymnastically to get on the ground, but he doesn't throw it very well. That's what tore me up. Jalen Daniels can't beat Colorado unless Devin Neal runs for 207 yards. Then you got me. And now I'm sure some Colorado fans are going to say, Robert Livingston? Really, Dion? What's up with him? By the way, one other play that happened that got a little social media buzz. It got so bad for Colorado that Travis Hunter ran into the ref, or the ref ran into him. What it looked like to me is that Travis just got sideswiped on a big gain by Jalen Daniels. And I think he laid it on a little thick. I think he flopped. I think he was looking for some help from the referees, and he was upset that the referee even began to get in his way, but he got brushed. He just got sort of sideswiped. I don't think it sent him sprawling quite like he sprawled, and it didn't change the game. The game was already going the wrong direction at that point. But my 2 cents is a bit of a flop and not a huge play in the game, even though it was amazing to watch, because it felt like only the ref could stop Travis Hunter, get him on the ground. Okay, you got me. Okay, so Colorado overrated. Look, they've overachieved. I'll give you that. But there are a lot of good football players out there, like Jordan Seaton that we had on our show on FS1, where he announced his signing with Colorado. Thought he was going to Maryland. It was a big NIL battle over him. But he's a freshman left tackle. It's hard, man. And it took him a while, but he's been pretty good, and I thought he was pretty good today. It wasn't, the protection was pretty good today for most of the day. Shadur just couldn't find anybody with immediate throws. So he stood, and then he moved, and he ducked, and he squirmed out of trouble. And he did pretty well. Tyler, look up real quick did he lead them in rushing? I'm sure Shadur led them in rushing because he had 4 or 5 nice runs. He can move a little bit. He's going to make a great pro. Trust me.
Shador did
He led with what?
4 for 26.
4 for 26 yards. Okay, so he took off running across the line of scrimmage 4 times, but he escaped, I don't know, 10 times and got off throws. How many times did he go down today? Does it say sacks? I don't think it was that many. Maybe,
Not listed.
what's that? No
Not
sacks,
listed
right?
now.
Okay. Oh, not listed yet. Okay. I don't remember him going. It wasn't like a sack game. Could Colorado have gotten more pressure? They don't have a sack artist, but they've been getting more and more heat. No, they overachieve, but they're definitely not overrated. Hit me again, Tyler.
Cy Robbins, shouldn't Prime be held accountable for having a poor defense for 2 straight seasons?
Okay.
Regina Edmondson, no way Jerry Jones would share the spotlight with Prime. And the last one for now from Scotty G, you talking about Shadur like you did about Tebow.
Okay, that's funny. Okay, let's go back to Cy Robbins. Okay, I'm going to give you this, Cy, astute point on your part. Look, Deion Sanders, one of the greatest defensive players in the history of football, should be held accountable for Colorado's defensive performance. He just should be, because that's what he knows, that's what he does, even though his son is going to be in the first pick in the draft as a quarterback. He does not coach his son hard when it comes to X's and O's or strategy. You know, obviously, whether they're going to go for it or not on 4th down, but not film room sort of strategy with his son, but with his defense, yes. So Robert Livingston, I think he's 38 years of age, still a young coach. I hold him somewhat accountable. He may have shifted slightly onto the hot seat, but I'm with you. That was Dion. It's up to Dion to motivate, and they weren't ready to play. And I love Dion more than anybody does, but he had a bad day at coaching, and his defense had the worst day it's had really in his 2 years at Colorado, all told. I know they had some wipeouts last year at Oregon and Washington State, but just given the magnitude of where they were, given the fact they're credible now, you got to give them credible. They have played credible defensive football for, I don't know, 6, 7 weeks in a row. Yeah. Okay, I'm disappointed, Dion, and I'm sure nobody is more disappointed than Dion is in himself right now. Now I go to Regina. And what was that one, Tyler, about? Sharing the stage in Dallas. Yes. Okay, so Regina's asking about, forget about Dallas, because there's no way that Jerry would share the stage with Deion Sanders. Well, okay, I got you. That was the big argument against me. I wanted Jerry to go get Jim Harbaugh after that debacle of a playoff game, down 27-0 late first half against Green Bay last year. Mike McCarthy's got to go. Like he's the polar opposite of Deion Sanders is Mike McCarthy. I guess he knows some offensive football, but he's the worst motivator in the history of pro or college football. Biggest limp wrist, cold fish, sorry motivator. I mean, how can you? He just puts me to sleep to listen to his cliches tumble out of his mouth. And that's the guy who's supposed to motivate the Dallas Cowboys before a game and during halftime. So I want him, Jerry, just, enough of Mike McCarthy, enough of that bump on a log on the sidelines. It's over and it's out. It's time to go get Jim Harbaugh because he's available. And you're going to have to give him the keys to the kingdom, the way you did Parcells. But Parcells was kind of at the end of the line. Jim Harbaugh is right in his sweet spot. He's right in the middle of his prime. And wherever he's gone, great things have happened. He would have changed the culture in Dallas. But yeah, you'd have to give it up to him. Okay? So now it's to Dion. To me, Dion was born to coach the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, he still has a home in Dallas. Shadur grew up in the Dallas area. If I could have snapped my fingers and had Shadur and Dion in Dallas next year, happy days are here again. But you know what happened? Jerry caved and gave the ranch. He bet the whole ranch on Dak Prescott. Dak ain't it. Dak's not that guy. Shadur's that guy. Shadur's clutch as they come. You didn't get to see it today because they just never were in it. They never had a chance to be clutch. But again, at some point, it's over for Jerry. I love Jerry Jones. I know him really well. I spent literally hundreds of hours with and around Jerry for the 3 Cowboy books I wrote. But that was then. This is now. Now he's in his 80s. And at some point, he's going Joe Biden. He's Jerry Biden. He just lost some of his fastball, and it's time for him to pull back, move back, and give it to somebody else. Not to Stephen Jones. Let Stephen oversee, but again, the Jones family can still run the show, but they've got to give up the whole football operation to a Dion. But again, I was shocked last week because Julian Lewis said, I want Dion. I want Boulder. I'm coming to Colorado. I think the kid's really good. I'm just watching his highlights. He's not huge. He's 6'1", 185. But God, he just throws such accurate darts, and he has such poise and such easy athleticism. I don't know. All he does is win, which brings me to the final question of this batch that we're talking about. Me comparing Shadur like it's my Tebow. Well, you want to talk about night and day. Tim Tebow beat my Oklahoma Sooners in the national championship game. Then I saw the video at halftime of Tebow yelling, screaming, looking like a maniac to his team. We're going to take the ball and we're going to run it down their throats. Okay, they did. They beat Sam Bradford and my Oklahoma Sooners in the second half because he took over and Percy Harvin took over. And I was in awe because I said, if you let that guy run his college offense in pro football, he's going to win games because he is a force of nature. Well, he had a big arm, didn't have the most accurate arm until the last 5 minutes of those games when he finally got that chance in his second year in Denver. He had the best QBR in pro football in the last 5 minutes of games that year. He did it intangibly. Shadur's the whole package. He's got Tebow-esque intangibles. They come out, they manifest differently, but he's got a huge, accurate arm. I mean, Shadur's it. Shadur's a real live quarterback. Tebow had to do it his way. All he does is win because that's all he did. He took a 1-4 team to the division championship and beat Ben Roethlisberger and Mike Tomlinson in a playoff game with a walk-off overtime touchdown pass to Demaryius Thomas. I've never seen anything like it. And why Tim never got another chance after that will go down as one of the great unanswered questions of history. He never even got to start another game after that in the National Football League. Well, that's overachievement. Shadur is an achiever. He's it. He's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. Tim went, I said before the draft, I said I'd take him the bottom of the first round, and Josh McDaniels took him 25th overall. So I'm not seeing that as a comparison, except with the clutch factor. Tim got very clutch late in those games that he pulled out. Shadur is extremely clutch. He's had 5 or 6 huge clutch moments this year. Man, against Baylor, he was just spectacular. Let's take a few more questions and comments, and I will let you dash.
Sonny Staley, CU line couldn't tackle a 5th grader today.
Yeah.
Brandon 1050, where's these haters when you're winning? These haters always show up when they lose. These haters are fake news.
Okay. That's good.
And then endgame spoiler, would either the Jets or Giants consider hiring Coach Prime as their next head coach?
Yeah. Okay. Jets or Giants.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go back to Sonny at the top. You know what? You're right. I can't say it any better. I'm still shell-shocked. I'm shook up right now because of what I didn't see today from Colorado. I just wasn't ready for that. I don't think Coach Prime was ready for that. I don't think anybody associated with Colorado was ready for that. One team was at buzzsaw peak after knocking off Iowa State and BYU. They came out of the locker room buzzsawing in front of a giant crowd for them. It looked like it was about 50,000, maybe at Arrowhead it wasn't full. There were some open spaces in the upper decks. It wasn't 70,000, but it was a good 50,000 crowd that just lit their fire. I'm talking about from the opening drive. And the Buffaloes came out lifeless, prideless, flat, heartless. And, tackling is such an underrated part of the game. And it's just so cliched for me to say, but you can just see it. When a defense comes out on fire, urgent, locked in, focused, it manifests in hands on ball carrier and won't let go. And it manifests in flying to the football where you see every ball carrier get tackled by 4 defenders. Today, it was one defender missing, one defender just sort of patty caking, one defender looking like he was kind of reaching for the ball carrier's flag, like it was just flag football. And it was, you're right, Sonny, it's like 5th graders out there running with the football. You couldn't tackle the 5th grader. It just didn't matter because you'd already crowned yourself. That's what happened. You'd already decided you were in the Big 12 title game. Got Oklahoma State back in Boulder next week. That'll be the final nail in the Big 12's coffin. We are back, baby. We own the Big 12. We're going to Jerry World for the title game. Now you got to go beat Kansas, and you're in the wrong place at the worst time. Okay, then we've got Brandon. You're right, Brandon. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. The haters have been out there. Listen, Dion and Shadur inspire as much hate as anybody in all of football, pro or college football. It's the chains, it's the jewelry, it's the flamboyance. It's Dion's the greatest interview in sports, and you push his button, he will talk. Nobody can speak better than Deion Sanders. Nobody can be more entertaining speaking than Dion. And Shadur is the highest, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm pretty sure I'm right about this. He's the highest paid college athlete ever. I don't even know what it is this year, but it's a lot of money. He's not going to make that much more, if any more, next year as the number 1 overall pick, some more. But my point is that inspires, like my wife Ernestine always asks me, these guys are really getting paid now? Yes, they should have been paid 50 years ago. So many died for their causes without getting a nickel except for room, board, and tuition, right? Books. And yet Shadur, he flaunts, he's got his Cybertruck. And what else he got, Tyler? He's got a Rolls, and I think he's got something besides a Rolls. I don't know if he's got one of the Euro cars like a Maserati, but whatever he flaunts. He's not a big speaker. He's not a quote machine, but he flaunts. And it just inspires haters. And as Brandon says, the fake newsers are coming out. It was like open season all afternoon, live on Fox. Maybe fittingly, they're all coming out. We got him now. We got him now because Kansas got him good. Okay, you're right. And then spoiler says, would the Jets or the Giants want it? Yes, they would want Dion. But I'm going to say it again. The great news for Colorado, the great news, if there's something you can hang on to tonight in Boulder, Colorado, or in Buffs Nation, it's that Julian Lewis said yes to you. Julian Lewis said, I want to be there. It'd be the next 3 years. If he's as good as I think he is, you can have Julian Lewis start day one next year for the next 3 years. And he looks like he's good enough if you continue to build around him through the portal and your recruiting. I'm not going to bet against Dion winning a national championship in the next 3 years with him. I wanted to see them contend for one this year with Shadur and Travis, because from here on, I keep saying this, every game they were going to play, including a playoff game that now looks out the window, but even in a playoff game, and there was the question I didn't get to earlier about Alabama, or who was the other team that was going to annihilate them? Ohio State, yeah. You know what? You could be right. Maybe Colorado's not ready for the Alabama that finally came back to life, or the Ohio State that finally, after Oregon came back to life, the one that's peaking now. Yeah, probably not. But I keep saying, Shadur's special, man. Travis Hunter is special. I think he did enough today. I wish he'd picked off one pass. They needed one turnover to flip that game on its head, and they got none. They just got none. There was almost that one in the end zone that would have turned it, where Jalen Daniels was scrambling, and it looked like they had to review it for about 7 minutes to see if his knee got down. It was actually on an arm, but he flung it into the end zone. Travis came close to picking it up off the grass, but they just couldn't quite get there. So, but the point is, back to, sure, the Giants and Jets would crawl all the way to Boulder for Deion Sanders. He's instant visibility and, to me, credibility. He just is. He can coach. He can motivate. He can make things happen. Obviously, he can't recruit in pro football, but a lot of players would want to play for Deion Sanders. You can recruit through free agency. So the point is, the good news tonight, to sum this up, is, as sorry as that was, as shameful an effort as that was, as hard to watch as that was, as gut-wrenching, mind-blowing as that was, Deion's not going anywhere. Julian Lewis is going to Boulder. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. And Colorado, all you haters out there watching right now, listening right now, screaming at me right now, Colorado ain't going away. Dion is there, kickstand down. And he's going to come down on you haters again and again and again with his next quarterback in his next round of portal and recruits. I'll go on record right now. Deion Sanders wins a national championship in college football at Colorado in the next 3 years with Juju Lewis at quarterback. That's all I got to hang on to tonight. It's been a rough year. Cowboys, Sooners, even my Commodores couldn't quite hang in and hang on. But thank you for watching. Thank you for responding. I'll be on live tomorrow right after the Dallas Cowboy at Washington Commander game. You got Skip signing off from Los Angeles, deflated once again tonight.